1 in every 150 children born in America is diagnosed with autism, making
1 in every 91 American children will be diagnosed with autism. 1 in every 50.
Autism affects 1 in every 88 children born in the United States, to 1 in 68 people. 1 in 150 people to 1 in 59 people. The Centers for Disease Control reports 1 in 54 children. Today, it's 1 in 44. That's the current diagnosis rate for autism in the United States. And it begs the question, why has that number steadily increased for 2 decades? It's likely due to improved recognition of autism spectrum disorder, the behaviors and traits a person can present. But that number, 1 in 44, that means millions of Americans are connected to the ever-growing spectrum, a sister, a brother, in my case, 2 sons. They're all people of equal value, deserving of opportunity, and tonight we continue to share their stories. Welcome to the Autism Puzzle. Autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disability which can be signified by social, behavioral, and communication dysfunction. The spectrum of abilities ranges widely, from self-supporting adults to people who require lifelong care. ASD occurs in all racial and ethnic groups, and it's 4 times more likely to occur in boys than girls. A reliable diagnosis for most children can be formed by age 2. Among the key signs of autism, speech delay or lack of speech, limited eye contact or social interactions, and repetitive actions and play habits. Therapy interventions for children on the spectrum can cost families $50,000 to $60,000 annually. Autism does not have a cure. The topic of autism raises so many questions. Good evening. I'm Jerod Smalley. For those of you who have not joined us over the years, we've gathered a group of experts in the field of autism to staff our call 4 lines. They will be on hand throughout the program tonight, ready to take your call, answer any question you may have about autism, and you can reach them right now at 844-442-2554. That's 844-44-CALL-4. Now let's begin where every parent begins their journey with autism. It could be noticing an unusual behavior or having difficulty getting a child to speak. Perhaps that could lead to a diagnosis. And then parents ask, what now? Many parents turn into advocates for their own kids and kids everywhere.
We have a red oak tree out in our front yard, and we also know that that tree is a strong tree, a red oak. It's been around for a long time.
That tree is a symbol for stability. Annie Stair's family draws strength from the routine.
What colors do you have here?
3 young boys keep the house lively, especially their youngest son, Graham.
He is such a gift to us. We look at the world differently because of him.
Annie and her husband noticed early on Graham's development was different.
He never hit a milestone on time, quote unquote. So he walked later, he talked later, his speech was delayed.
Good job, Graham. I'm proud of you.
Dad.
You say bye-bye?
Dad. Bye.
The things that we're most concerned about is a lack of language development when we're expecting language to grow and develop, have a lack of eye contact, whose reciprocal play and interaction is not up to developmental expectations.
He also would line up his toys a lot in order, and it was always trains in a row, and they had to be in a certain order. He was meticulous about it.
So Annie took her concerns to her pediatrician and then to Nationwide Children's Hospital.
And right away, he was diagnosed.
Bring up your concerns. And if you bring them up once and the physician says, it's nothing to worry about, we'll keep a watch on it, but 3 months later, you're still worried about it, bring it up again.
The doctor said to me, never forget that Graham is the same child that walked into this office when he walks out of this office today. And my husband and I repeat that to each other sometimes, and we agree.
Graham's actively involved in speech and occupational therapy and applied behavioral analysis.
Whatever we were doing, I wanted to make sure that it was backed up by a doctor or a professional. Also, what was hugely helpful for me was being referred by friends and family to other parents that had been through the same experience.
Remember that red oak in the front yard? That's what inspired Annie to launch a resource for new autism parents. the Red Oak Foundation.
Like our tree outside, we want to connect people to resources like the branches on the tree. And what we want to be is that connector to what's already out there. So there's already so many great therapies, so many great groups out there, and we want to connect people to those resources. So we want to really help provide that strength to other people that sometimes you have to dig deep for, but it's there.
You say hug, yeah. Are you happy? Are you happy?
For new parents curious about their child's development, the CDC's website, cdc.gov, features a table of developmental milestones for children, and it's broken down by age. If you have further questions, contact your pediatrician. Well, children with autism grow into adults with autism, and those adults will enter a world filled with uncertainties. According to a study from Drexel University, 42% of people in their 20s with ASD are unemployed. And more than 40% of those with a job do not work for pay. Many people with autism are not employed at a level equal to their educational background. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, of adults with autism with a college education, 85% are unemployed. And then, of course, where do adults with autism live? 75% of adults with ASD live at home with parents or family caregivers. That's even as those parents reach their retirement age. Some groups of parents are aiming to solve the housing problem through community building.
I want drink. Good, please. Marla. Great.
12 years ago, we first met Robbie Brothers, then a high schooler, and his parents, they were persevering.
We go days where we go to work all day. He doesn't sleep at night. We team up. You stay up till 3. I'll stay up from 3 to 6.
We were to the point where friends were saying you look physically exhausted, and which meant a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of time on your feet, and I still think we're recovering a little bit.
Today, Robbie's 27 years old.
Finish your apple. Sign it.
And finding Robbie's place remains a journey.
We spoke with the experts and said, don't put this off. But as we jumped in, we realized the options were thin.
There is no housing available unless you are able to afford to pay for that housing day in and day out for the next 90, 80 years, because they'll live for a long time.
Mike and Karen reached out to numerous outlets in search of long-term housing with no real success. Robbie currently lives in a small house with care providers, but it's not a long-term solution. So the Brothers family joined other local families in a shared pursuit.
But how about a community living option where you're not living around just folks who have to be paid to care for you, but neighbors with whom you can maybe develop social connections and live in a way that really does celebrate that humanity that all of us bring.
Mark Dunham works as the project director for All-Inclusive Living. The Brothers family joined with parents and community leaders to form All In, with the task of creating a model community to support adults on the spectrum in a location with close access to transportation, grocery stores, and other basics.
Increase social connectedness. We know that social isolation is a big problem for older adults and people with disabilities. How does housing get leveraged and neighbors get leveraged to actually address that scourge of isolation?
The plan? To create a shared community for people on the spectrum, senior citizens, and families in a central location where residents share their gifts.
It's a community that in and of itself looks out for each other.
It's intentional.
Yes, and then is surrounded by a community that looks out for them as well.
The All-In board includes Central Ohio architects, real estate, and business leaders.
I could see it on the faces of the people that they suddenly had a relief that somebody was listening. They didn't have answers, but somebody was listening and going to do something.
You know, we're in the midst of a housing crisis and an affordable housing crisis as it is within the city of Columbus. And now, so in addition to that, you also have a population that desperately needs to be served. And you know, I think that's really what has inspired me with what the work that this board is already doing.
All-Inclusive has launched similar projects in Arizona and Maryland. In Central Ohio, one key sticking point remains.
Well, we've got to find some land.
Land in the right places. Maybe somebody out there has land in one of the locations that we're talking about. A banker, somebody who's involved in construction, who can be passionate about this.
We've got a crisis that's much bigger than one project to fix, and we want to make sure we have a model that can really be replicated moving forward.
This might not be where our son is, but we're not doing it for that reason.
No.
We're doing it because it needs to be done.
Yes.
Ahead on the Autism Puzzle, an idea born during the pandemic may be the best link yet between autism parents and professionals. At Columbus's newest stadium, an idea to make sure people on the spectrum can join the crew. And later, she was featured on this show a dozen years ago, and thanks to a mother's determination, she's got goals.
That is all coming up in the show. A reminder, 844-442-2554. That is the phone number you can call right now to speak to one of our experts about autism. Questions from diagnosis to therapies, IEPs, long-term support. We've got you covered. 844-442-2554. Give us a call. We'll return right after this.